It started small. A few dollars here, some groceries there. My sister needed help paying for her textbooks one semester, so I covered it. My mom's car broke down, so I chipped in for repairs. My brother needed rent money after losing his job, so I lent him a month. None of it felt unreasonable at the time. That's what family does, right? We help each other. When I first started making decent money, I felt proud. I'd worked my way up from part-time jobs and long nights studying to finally landing a stable, well-paying position. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine, and I was happy to share when I could. At first, they seemed grateful. Mom would call me her little lifesaver. My sister would hug me and say, "I don't know what we'd do without you." My brother would promise to pay me back when things got better. I never really expected the money back. It was family. They needed it. I had it. End of story. But gradually, it stopped being about emergencies. My sister wanted a new laptop for school, not because hers was broken, but because the latest model was on sale. My mom mentioned that her favorite restaurant was doing a pricey Mother's Day brunch, hinting that she'd love to go. My brother? He just started asking outright, "Hey, can you cover my phone bill? I'm a little short this month. Mind spotting me for gas? I've got an interview." It wasn't like I couldn't afford it, but I started feeling like I was more of an ATM than a family member. The turning point came when my dad got involved. He's always been the old school, pull yourself up by your bootstraps type. Never asked me for a dime, even when things were tight. But one night, he called me after work, his tone unusually casual. "Your mom was saying you've been helping out your siblings a lot." "That's true." "Yeah, when I can." "Why?" He hesitated. I don't want you to think you have to take care of everyone. They're adults. They need to figure stuff out too." That was the first time anyone in my family suggested that maybe, just maybe, it wasn't my job to keep everyone afloat. But I brushed it off. Dad didn't know how bad things were for my brother, or how stressed my sister was about school. And Mom always put others first, so why shouldn't I return the favor? But the requests kept coming. Birthday presents that doubled as rent payments. Dinner invitations that somehow ended with me covering the whole bill. Little things that added up, not just financially, but emotionally. One weekend, I hosted a family barbecue. Nothing fancy, just burgers, salad, drinks. Everyone showed up empty-handed. I didn't mind at first, but when my sister asked if I could grab a few more packs of beer because the cooler was running low, I just stared at her. "You didn't bring anything?" She shrugged. "We figured you had it covered. You always do." That's when it hit me. I wasn't being generous. I was being taken for granted. They didn't see my help as a gift. They saw it as my responsibility. Like I was obligated to pick up the slack whenever things didn't go their way. I didn't say anything that day. Just let it simmer in my head while I cleaned up alone after they all left. But that night, lying in bed, I replayed the past few years in my head. All the times I'd offered help without being asked. All the times I'd been guilted into giving more than I felt comfortable with. And it wasn't their fault, not entirely. I'd set the pattern. I'd made it seem like I didn't mind. Like I'd always be there, no matter what. But now, it didn't feel right anymore. It didn't feel like love. It felt like being used. The final straw came a week later when my sister called, frantic. "I'm stuck at the mall. My card's not working, and I need to pay for these shoes. Can you come cover it?" "What shoes?" "Just a pair I've wanted for a while. They're on sale, and I can't miss this deal." I hesitated. "You're calling me to pay for shoes?" "It's just this once. I'll pay you back. You know I always do." But she didn't. And even if she had, that wasn't the point. I could feel the words building up in my throat, the truth I hadn't let out before. But I swallowed it. Said I couldn't make it. She hung up, annoyed. And I sat there, wondering why I felt so guilty for saying no. That was the moment I knew things had to change. But I wasn't sure how to make them see it. Because to them, I wasn't just the sibling with a good job. I was the family wallet. And if I didn't change things soon, I knew I'd end up resenting all of them. After that call from my sister, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Not just about the shoes, but about how effortlessly she expected me to cover it. It was my responsibility to keep her lifestyle afloat. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. Not just at her, but at myself. For letting it get this far. For not saying no earlier. I needed to set boundaries. Not just with my sister, but with everyone. That weekend, I decided to call a family meeting. I texted the group chat. "Hey, can we all meet at my place on Sunday? Need to talk about something important." Immediately, the replies came in. "Mom, everything okay?" "Sister, sure. Are you making dinner?" "Brother, I'll bring beer." I didn't clarify. I didn't want to give them time to prepare an argument. I just needed them to show up. Sunday rolled around, and they came in one by one, assuming it was just another casual get-together. My sister immediately started rummaging through my fridge. My brother plopped on the couch, asking if I had chips. Mom was already hinting about ordering takeout. I cleared my throat. I just wanted to talk. No dinner plans tonight. They all looked a bit confused, but sat down. I didn't waste time. I've been thinking a lot lately. About money. About how much I've been helping out. My sister immediately jumped in. Oh, if this is about the shoes, I'm sorry. I didn't think it was a big deal. It's not just the shoes, I said calmly. It's everything. I feel like I'm always the one covering costs, picking up the tab, paying for things without being asked. My brother scoffed. Dude, you make way more than the rest of us. It's not like it hurts you. That's not the point, I replied. It's not about whether I can afford it. It's about the fact that you expect it. That you don't even consider that maybe I don't want to keep doing this. My mom looked uncomfortable. We never meant to make you feel that way. We just thought. You liked helping. I do. When it's genuine. When it's needed. But it's become expected. And that doesn't feel right anymore. My sister looked offended. So you're saying you're just going to stop helping us? Just like that. I'm saying I need boundaries. I'll still help when it's necessary, but I can't keep being the family bank. It's not fair to me. They didn't like that. My brother muttered something under his breath about me being selfish. My sister looked like I just slapped her. Mom started to tear up. You don't understand, she said. We count on you. We've always counted on you. You're the one who made it. The one who's supposed to help the rest of us. I get that, I replied. But it's become too much. I feel like my success just made everyone else stop trying. My brother snapped. You think we're just lazy? Are we using you? You think that low of us? No. I just think you've gotten comfortable with me always fixing things. And it's not your fault entirely. I made it easy. But it has to change. Silence. They didn't know how to process it. For so long, I'd been the dependable one, the one who never said no. Now that I was drawing a line, it was like they didn't recognize me. Eventually, Mom just sighed. We never wanted to take advantage. Maybe we just took you for granted. Hey guys, please don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment if you have any feedback. Let's go to the story. It was the first honest thing anyone had said all evening. I nodded. I know you didn't mean to, but that doesn't change how it feels. They left not long after, and the mood was noticeably tense. My brother didn't even say goodbye. My sister texted me later. You made us feel like we're just using you. That's not fair. I didn't respond, because I wasn't trying to make them feel guilty. I was just trying to take care of myself for once. For a few days, things were quiet. No calls. No texts. Just silence. Part of me felt relieved. But another part worried that I'd just torn something irreparable. That by standing up for myself, I pushed them away. Then, a week later, Mom called. We've been talking. Maybe we didn't see it before, but we get it now. You shouldn't feel like you're carrying all of us. It wasn't exactly an apology, but it was close. I could tell she still didn't fully understand, but at least she was trying. And that was something. My brother, on the other hand, wasn't so understanding. I didn't realize money changed you. Thought you were still one of us. That hurt. Because he didn't see it as me setting boundaries. He saw it as me turning my back on the family. And I wasn't sure how to change that perspective. I didn't regret what I said, but I wasn't prepared for how much it would change things. For the first time, I was standing up for myself. And if they couldn't respect that, maybe the problem wasn't just about money. Maybe it was about how they saw me, not as a person, but as a safety net. And that was going to take more than one conversation to fix. After that family meeting, the atmosphere changed. The easy conversations and casual group texts vanished. Instead, there was this heavy, uncomfortable silence that hung around like smoke after a fire. It was like they didn't know how to talk to me anymore. Or maybe they were waiting for me to apologize, to take back what I'd said. But I couldn't. Because if I backed down now, I knew things would never change. My brother took it the hardest. He called me 2 days after the meeting, already sounding defensive. You really think you're better than us now? Just because you've got a steady job. I tried to keep my voice calm. That's not what I said. I just need boundaries. I can't keep covering for everyone. It's draining me. You used to be cool about it. Used to help out. Now it's like you don't even care. I do care. That's the problem. I've been doing this because I care. But it's not sustainable. He scoffed. Yes, money changes people. Thought you'd stay down to earth. I almost laughed at how twisted that logic was. Helping them endlessly was down to earth. Setting boundaries made me stuck up. It didn't make sense, but I knew arguing wouldn't fix it. I ended the call feeling exhausted. Like somehow, trying to protect myself had made me the bad guy. But I wasn't backing down. Not this time. A few days later, I got a message from my cousin, Nina. We hadn't spoken in months, but she must have heard about the family drama. Her text was simple. Hey, you doing okay? I hesitated, then replied. Yeah, just dealing with some fallout. She called me right away. I heard about the whole money thing. They're giving you a hard time? Kind of. I just told them I can't keep paying for everything. They didn't take it well. Nina sighed. Honestly, you should have done that a long time ago. They've been using you, even if they don't see it that way. Hearing her say that was like a breath of fresh air. You really think so? Of course. I've seen it for years. They don't realize how much they lean on you because you never complain. But that doesn't make it right. She was right. Just because I hadn't complained didn't mean it wasn't unfair. And just because they didn't see it didn't mean I had to keep letting it happen. Talking to Nina made me realize something important. I wasn't crazy for feeling drained. I wasn't selfish for wanting to protect my stability. And just because they didn't understand didn't mean I had to change my mind. Over the next few weeks, the tension didn't ease. My brother barely spoke to me. My sister sent me a few passive-aggressive texts about how I wouldn't understand what it was like to struggle. My mom kept her distance, unsure how to balance supporting me without alienating the others. The weird part was that I actually felt lighter. No more surprise requests. No more last-minute calls for money. Just quiet. And I didn't realize how much I needed that. Then one evening, I got a call from my dad. He didn't usually call unless something serious was going on. Mind if I come over? I said sure, and 15 minutes later, he knocked on my door. He looked more tired than usual. We sat in the living room, and he didn't waste time with small talk. Your mom's worried. Says the family's falling apart. I stayed quiet, waiting for him to continue. She thinks maybe you should just smooth things over. You know how your brother is stubborn as a mule. Dad, I'm tired of smoothing things over. That's the problem. I always been so no one else has to. He sighed heavily. I know. I've seen it. I don't know how to fix this. Your brother's pride is hurt. Your sister feels judged. Your mom's stuck in the middle. But what about me? I asked. Doesn't it matter that I'm burnt out? That I feel taken for granted? He looked at me, and for the first time, he didn't have a quick answer. I guess we just never thought you'd mind. You never said anything before. That's the point. I never said anything. And they just assumed I was okay with it. He nodded slowly. Maybe it's time they figure things out without leaning on you. They've never had to. Hearing that from him was like validation I didn't know I needed. He wasn't exactly taking my side, but he wasn't dismissing me either. And that was progress. Before he left, he put a hand on my shoulder. You did the right thing. It's just hard when people have to change. Doesn't mean you're wrong. I let those words sink in. Because for the first time, I felt like someone in the family saw my side of it. The next day, my sister sent me a text. Can we talk? I think I get it now. I just didn't see it that way before. It wasn't an apology, but it was something. A sign that maybe, just maybe, the message was getting through. Setting boundaries wasn't the smooth, triumphant victory I'd imagined. It was messy, uncomfortable, and painful at times. But I didn't regret it. Because every time I thought about caving in, I remembered that barbecue, the one where I cleaned up alone while everyone just assumed I'd handle it. And I knew I couldn't go back to that. The next few weeks were surprisingly quiet. My brother stayed distant. My sister was still processing the conversation, sending the occasional neutral text. And my mom seemed torn between wanting to support me and trying to keep the peace. It wasn't perfect, but it wasn't the cold silence from before. There was this tentative feeling that maybe, just maybe, they were starting to see my side. Then one evening, my phone rang. It was my mom, voice trembling. Your brother's in trouble. He's at the police station. Got into a fight at a bar. My first instinct was to drop everything and go. Because that's what I always did. But then I hesitated. Because this was exactly the kind of situation I'd been talking about. Stepping in when they messed up. Cleaning up the fallout. Did he call you? I asked. No. The police called me because his phone died. I didn't know who else to call. My stomach twisted. I knew what she wanted. For me to handle it. For me to be the responsible one who would show up, pay the bail, and make everything right. I took a breath. Mom, he's an adult. He needs to figure this out. She was silent for a moment. But he's your brother. He's scared. I get that. But I can't keep being the one to fix his mistakes. Maybe this is something he needs to learn from. She didn't argue, but I could hear the disappointment. Okay. I didn't know who else to call. I offered to go down there and sit with her. Not to fix it, just to be there. She agreed, and I could tell she wasn't happy. When I got to the station, my mom was already pacing in the lobby. She looked relieved when she saw me, but also stressed. He's in the back. They said it's just a misdemeanor. Drunk and disorderly. But they need someone to pay the fine. Did you talk to him? Briefly. He just kept saying he messed up. Sounded scared. I wanted to walk back there and make it better. But I stopped myself. Because it wasn't my job to always be the fixer. After a while, the officer came out. Your family of Ethan? Yes, I replied. He can be released tonight if someone covers the fine. My mom looked at me expectantly. I didn't move. Mom, if we pay for this, what's stopping him from doing it again? He needs to learn. She didn't answer. Instead, she pulled out her wallet and handed over her credit card. I can't leave him here. I just can't. I stayed quiet. Because I knew this wasn't about right or wrong. It was about a mother who couldn't stand to see her son in trouble, even if it meant enabling him. When my brother came out, his face was red, and he looked embarrassed. Thanks for coming, he mumbled. Mom hugged him, but I didn't move. He glanced at me, looking like he expected a lecture. But I wasn't going to give him one. Glad you're okay, I said simply. He didn't reply, just kept his head down. On the drive home, he barely spoke, and I didn't push. But I could tell he was stewing, maybe more at himself than at me. A few days later, he texted me. Sorry for the other night. I messed up. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, you did. But I'm glad you're okay. Mom said you wouldn't pay. Why not? Because it wasn't my mistake to fix. He didn't respond right away. When he finally did, it was just fair. That single word meant more than any apology. It meant he got it. At least a little. And that was progress. Mom still felt uneasy about it. She kept saying how it wasn't like him, how he must have been stressed, how he needed to be supportive. I didn't argue, because I knew she was trying to rationalize it to feel better. But I also knew that if I kept bailing him out, nothing would change. And maybe, for the first time, my brother was starting to see that too. Nina called me the next day. Heard about your brother. You okay? Yeah, just trying not to be the one who cleans up his mess this time. She laughed. It's about time. You can't protect him from himself forever. It was good to hear someone say it out loud. Because I wasn't just fighting my family's expectations, I was fighting the version of myself that always stepped up, even when it hurt. A few days later, my brother texted again. I'm paying Mom back for the fine. I shouldn't have let her cover it. That hit different. Because it was the first time he'd ever acknowledged the cost of his actions. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Sometimes, change doesn't come with grand gestures. Sometimes it's just a quiet realization that you can't always be the hero. And that saying no doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you human. Just when I thought things were settling down, life threw another curveball. This time, it wasn't about money. It was about family reputation. A few weeks after my brother's incident, Mom called me, sounding more stressed than usual. Have you seen what your sister posted on social media? No. Why? She's venting about the family. About feeling unsupported. My stomach dropped. I pulled up my phone, scrolling through her latest post. Sure enough, there it was. A long, emotional post about how she felt abandoned by her own family. How no one understood how hard it was to struggle. How even the people closest to her wouldn't help when she needed it most. She didn't mention my name, but it was clear who she was talking about. The comments poured in, friends offering sympathy, some suggesting that family should always be there for you. I didn't know whether to be angry or hurt. Because while I understood her frustration, it wasn't fair to paint me as the villain just because I set boundaries. I called her. She didn't pick up. So I texted. Saw your post. Can we talk? Nothing. It felt like she was intentionally ignoring me. A few hours later, Nina texted. Your sister's post. You okay? Trying to figure it out. She won't talk to me. Maybe let her cool off. Sometimes people just need to vent. I knew Nina was right, but I couldn't help feeling like my sister had crossed a line. It wasn't just a personal complaint, it was public, and it made me look heartless. The next day, Mom called again. I talked to your sister. She says she feels like you've abandoned her. Abandoned her? Just because I said no to paying for stuff. She thinks you've changed. That you don't care about the family anymore. That stung. Because it wasn't about not caring. It was about caring too much, to the point where it was hurting me. Mom, just because I'm not paying for everything doesn't mean I've stopped caring. It just means I need some respect for my own life, too. I know, honey. But you know how she gets when she feels cornered. I took a deep breath. It's not about her feeling cornered. It's about her not respecting my boundaries. The next weekend, we had a family dinner at Mom's house. I wasn't sure if I wanted to go, but Nina convinced me it would be better to clear the air in person. When I walked in, the atmosphere was tense. My sister didn't look at me. My brother was unusually quiet. Even Mom seemed cautious. I sat down, trying to keep things normal. But halfway through the meal, my sister finally spoke. So, I guess we're just pretending everything's fine now? Everyone went silent. I put down my fork. No one's pretending. I just didn't think we needed to air it out here. You made me look like a failure, she said, her voice shaking. By saying I can't keep paying for things? No. By acting like I'm just using you. Like I don't try. I didn't want to escalate it. That's not what I'm saying. I know you're trying. But it's been too much on me. I can't keep being the fallback whenever something goes wrong. She wiped her eyes angrily. You just don't get it. You've never struggled like this. That hit hard. You think that? Just because I'm stable now doesn't mean I didn't work my way up. I wasn't handed this. I fought for it. And I want to help when I can, but not at the cost of my well-being. Mom tried to calm things down. Maybe we just need to find a balance. You both have valid points. But my sister wasn't ready to hear that. Whatever. You guys always take his side. She grabbed her bag and left. I stayed at the table, feeling both frustrated and drained. My brother looked at me and just shrugged. You know how she is. Once she gets upset, she doesn't think straight. But that doesn't make it okay to drag me online, I said. He nodded. I get it. I just don't know how to fix it. After dinner, Mom pulled me aside. She's hurt. You know how sensitive she can be. I get that. But why is it always on me to make things better? Because you're the strong one. You always have been. I couldn't help but laugh at that. Maybe that's the problem. You see me as strong, so you forget I need support too. She didn't have an answer for that. But I could see the realization settling in. Maybe, just maybe, she was starting to understand that being strong didn't mean I didn't feel worn out. A few days later, my sister finally texted me. Can we talk? I didn't mean for it to get that bad. It wasn't a full apology, but it was a start. We met for coffee, and she finally opened up. I just felt like you didn't care. Like you didn't see how hard things are for me. I do see it, but I can't fix it for you. That's not fair to either of us. She nodded slowly. I guess I didn't see it from your side. I was just hurt. I know, but hurting me in return doesn't make it better. She agreed. And for the first time, I felt like we were talking instead of just throwing blame. Sometimes setting boundaries feels like you're tearing things apart. But other times, it's the only way to make people see that you're not just a safety net. You're a person, and you deserve to be respected, too. When I first set boundaries, I expected things to get better right away. Like flipping a switch, one conversation, and everyone would understand. But life doesn't work that way. People don't just change because you ask them to. And sometimes, they don't change at all. But that doesn't mean setting boundaries was a mistake. After the whole situation with my sister, things didn't instantly go back to normal. She was still a little distant, cautious around me. My brother, too. Still sulking, still not fully understanding why I'd changed the way I handled things. But slowly, there were small signs of progress. My sister texted me a few times, not about money, but just to check in. My mom actually called to ask how I was doing, something she hadn't done in a long time. And my dad, while not overly vocal, just gave me a nod one day and said, I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself. That was unexpected, and I realized that not everyone would come around the same way. Some would stay stuck in their mindset, but others would adapt. And I couldn't control that. All I could do was hold my line. One evening, I went for a walk with Nina. She'd been the most supportive through the whole mess, always reminding me I wasn't wrong for protecting myself. It's weird, I told her. I always thought being the reliable one was a good thing. Now I'm starting to see how much it's cost me. She nodded. You never made space for yourself. You were always the one who solved problems, so they stopped solving them on their own. And now that I've stopped, it feels like they don't know who I am anymore. Maybe because they never really saw you. They just saw what you could do for them. That hit harder than I expected. Because it was true. I'd made myself useful, indispensable even. And in doing so, I'd erased the parts of me that didn't fit that role. A few weeks later, my brother finally reached out. He came over unannounced, which was unlike him. I let him in, and he just sat down on the couch, looking unsure. I messed up, he admitted. About the fight. About how I handled you not helping out. I didn't get it. I stayed quiet, giving him space to explain. I guess I just got used to you always being there. Never thought about how much pressure that put on you. That was the most self-aware thing I'd heard from him in years. It's not about not wanting to help, I told him. It's about needing you to see that I'm human too. I get tired. I get burnt out. I need to know that I'm more than just the safety net. He nodded slowly. I get it now. I guess. I didn't think about what it cost you. Just figured you'd always be the strong one. That night, we sat and talked longer than we had in years. Not just about money or mistakes, but about life. For the first time, he wasn't asking me to fix anything. He just wanted to understand why things had changed. And that felt like progress. My sister came around too, eventually. She texted one evening, just a simple message. I know I made it harder than it needed to be. I guess I was scared that if you stopped helping, it meant you didn't care. But I know that's not true. I replied, I'll always care. But I can't keep doing it all alone. I get that. I'll do better. It wasn't an overnight transformation, but it was enough to make me feel like maybe things would eventually balance out. Setting boundaries didn't just change how my family saw me. It changed how I saw myself. For years, I'd equated being needed with being loved. If they relied on me, it meant I was important. But that wasn't true. I was important even without being the problem solver. I learned that love isn't just about being there when people need you. It's also about being honest when you're stretched too thin. It's about letting others take responsibility for their own lives. And as I rebuilt my relationships, I realized something crucial. You can love people and still say no. You can care deeply and still choose to protect your own well-being. One evening, during a casual family dinner, my mom looked at me and said, "You seem lighter, happier." I just smiled. I guess I am. Because for the first time, I wasn't carrying everyone else's weight. I wasn't trying to keep the peace by sacrificing myself. I was just me. Sometimes, it takes breaking old habits to make people see you differently. And sometimes, it takes standing up for yourself to remind yourself that you matter too. I knew I still had work to do, but I wasn't afraid anymore. Because now, I wasn't alone in carrying the load. And that made all the difference.